more than 580 days in captivity. The 21-year-old spoke to his mom by phone and is receiving a medical evaluation before he's reunited with family. The U.S. brokered release comes as President Trump heads to the Middle East for talks with Saudi and Qatari leaders. This is ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. The stepmother of 12-year-old Gavin Peterson will be sentenced today for her role in the death of her stepson. Nicole Scott pleaded guilty earlier this year to being part of the abuse and neglect that led to Gavin's death last July. Joining me now live is KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas. Greg, thanks for being with me. Tell me what kind of sentence she could be facing for this.
So, Maria, she pled guilty back in April to 8 crimes, 7 are felonies, the most significant of which is murder itself, which all by itself carries a term of imprisonment of 15 to life. She pled to 5 second-degree felonies that carry 1 to 15 years in prison, a third degree, which is 0 to 5, and then a misdemeanor A that has up to a year. She agreed in the plea agreement that she would stipulate that she be sentenced to prison and that all 8 of those counts run consecutive. That means back to back to back to one another.
So remind us how her sentence will compare to her husband's.
So he was charged, his most serious charge was also a first-degree felony, but it was child abuse homicide. It carried 5 to life. Hers is an outright murder, which is 15 to life. So the sentences will be similar, except that her guideline range, the time she's probably going to serve, will be significantly more than his.
The judge did not hold back her words or her emotions during Shane Peterson's sentencing, saying someone who could do this to their own child can't be rehabilitated. Do you think, given the graphic details of this case, that anyone could deliver an unbiased sentence?
Well, it's a stipulated sentence, so you're right. I think it's the same judge, and I'm sure she's going to struggle again today. And I think it's going to be difficult to think of parents, even step-parents, doing what they did to that poor boy. Because if you read the police reports and you see the evidence and you see what he suffered in the last year or two of his life, it was something that you can't even imagine, the cruelty and depravity of it. So the state gave up a potential death penalty in this case, or a life without the possibility of parole, in exchange for these 8 consecutive sentences. And I ran the guideline range, Maria, and she's likely to serve at least 30 years.
Greg, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being with me. That is KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas. Let's get you up to date on the drive, traffic, and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
We've been watching this traffic camera on I-15 in Weber County going southbound, where we've had police activity. All lanes of traffic are now open. What's left of the officers involved in this, they're over to the shoulder as you're approaching 4th North Pioneer Road. So still a little bit of backup between Far West and Marietta Slaterville. Another KSL listener texting in and saying there is a crash on I-15 near Willard. And there is, and I've been kind of watching that one too. That one, a meat truck overturned, and I don't know if you need a barbecue plan. That might be an option for you. But this is southbound I-15. It's south of Willard Bay. As you're passing the bay, you'll see the bay over to the right, all pretty and a little bit of waves with this wind. But all lanes of traffic are open on southbound I-15 in South Willard, where we have the cleanup of that accident. If you're in Salt Lake County or I-15 in Davis and Utah counties, you are good to go. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. Yesterday's wind carries into today. I've got 88 for a high, mostly sunny skies, and wind gusts up to 40 plus miles an hour. 65 tomorrow, got a chance for rain in the afternoon. Scattered showers on Wednesday, 60 degrees. We'll go partly cloudy, dry skies, 67 on Thursday. Friday, 71, looks beautiful, partly cloudy skies, but then another storm system works in here on Saturday. 74, slight chance for storms, better chances for rain by Sunday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And windy in downtown Salt Lake City right now. A bit of sunshine, 82 degrees, 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. A great day for the markets, reacting very positively to, news of a trade deal between the U.S. and China, or at least talks between the two. Stay with us. A complete update of your money news is next.
know it's Monday, but give me 60 seconds and I'll explain how spending $29 guarantees your air conditioner won't break down this summer. Or we'll give you your money back. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and when you have Any Hour do the annual maintenance for your air conditioner, it comes with our no breakdown guarantee. 801-443-7400. Normally, we charge $129 to tune up your air conditioner, but not today. If you call today, Monday, May 12th, and mention you heard this ad, we'll give you $100 off and tune up your air conditioner for only $29. 801-443-7400. If your AC breaks down any time this summer after we've tuned it up, we'll dispatch a technician to your home to diagnose and troubleshoot your system for free, and we'll give you back the $29 you paid for the tune-up. Where else are you going to find an offer with this little risk? You literally get your money back if your air conditioner breaks down. Call Any Hour Services and schedule your $29 air conditioner tune-up. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Think you've seen it all? The 2025 venue is prepped. The athletes have trained. Food's on standby. The weekend and weather are clear for the event to be epic. It's the 2025 Soldier Hollow Classic Memorial Weekend, May 23rd through 26th. The greatest value for families and fun. Experience some of the best entertainment and athleticism as they test the boundary between canine and human bonds. Plus, the festival. Amazing food and merchandise, bagpipes, demonstrations, activities, and great sponsors. Presented by Purina Pro Plan. A weekend filled with value and family fun. Nestled in a redesigned Olympic venue. Soldier Hollow. 4 days of adventure, competition, animal and bird demos, plus much more. Something for everyone. The Soldier Hollow Classic Sheepdog Championship and Festival. Presented by Purina Pro Plan. Nutrition that performs. Powder River. Exclusive livestock and canine equipment sponsor. IFA Country Store. Helping to grow the things you love. Visit SoldierHollowClassic.com. SoldierHollowClassic.com.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Watching Utah's money, pharmaceutical stocks are falling after President Trump said he plans to order a cut in U.S. prescription drug costs. Experts tell Bloomberg News this could be bad for the industry, will likely end in a lot of lawsuits. And your money at this moment, the Dow is up by 1,100 points, nearly 3%, sitting at 42,352. S&P 500 up by 173 points, and the NASDAQ gets up 741 points. That's more than 4%.
Spring is the perfect time to refresh your home, and Zero-Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning is here to help. Right now, when you get the carpet of 3 rooms cleaned, you'll get an additional room cleaned absolutely free. And for a whole home refresh, take 20% off upholstery cleaning. Unlike traditional cleaners, Zero-Res uses patented ZR water, a powerful cleaning solution that lifts dirt and grime without harsh chemicals or detergents. That means your carpets and upholstery stay cleaner longer and dry in hours, not days. It's safe for kids, pets, and the environment. Plus, every cleaning comes with a Zero-Res Gotta Love It guarantee. If you're not completely satisfied, Zero-Res will re-clean for free within 30 days. Don't miss out on these limited time offers because spring cleaning starts now. Get started today at Zerores.com and mention KSL to lock in your deal.
Troy, can you believe Memorial Day is almost here?
Pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting?
Yeah.
That's all you got for the official start to camping season and our entire reason for living?
I am excited, yes. What do you want from me?
Get pumped, man. It's camping Christmas. Kind of a big deal.
Oh, it's a huge flippin' deal. That's why Bish's is already celebrating Memorial Day with big deals on all RVs. We're selling travel trailers starting under $139 per month on approved credit.
And don't forget, no tariff fees on new in-stock RVs.
Plus 90 days of all play and no pay OAC.
And clearance pricing on all remaining 2024s while they last.
We're even delivering select RVs same day so you can camp right away.
Same day camping? That is a big flippin' deal.
Told you, camping season is a big deal. So come get the real big deals during the Memorial Day sales event happening right now at Bish's RV of Salt Lake and American Fork, where memories begin.
Based on approved credit, 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock numbers 90452-81733. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
Sign up for KSL text alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Loans. Ricky?
Crews are still working. An accident southbound I-15 near Willard Bay over to the right shoulder. And then no delay there, but still a little busy getting around this other police activity situation on southbound I-15. This is in Weber County. As you're going from far west to Marietta Slaterville, it's over to the right shoulder, but again, near 4th North Pioneer Road. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
And taking a look at the forecast for the Wasatch Front today is the warm one for the week, up to 88 degrees for a high. And it looks like tomorrow that chance of showers moving in, a 40% chance of showers tomorrow, but an even greater chance of showers coming Wednesday. But the high tomorrow, to give you an example, dropping a good 20 degrees down to a 65 for a high. Then it looks like the chance of showers remain with us for the next 7 days after today. Greatest chance again coming on Wednesday, and then the weekend, still a good chance of showers as well. In downtown Salt Lake City right now, 84 degrees. Looking at some of the other temperatures around the area. In Ogden, it's 82, Provo 82, St. George, definitely the hot spot with 90 degrees. If you want to be cooler, head to Park City, it's only 65.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
A major pause and reduction on Chinese tariffs.
When you compare those two numbers, I'll take 30 any day over 145. And so I think it lessens the potential impact on smaller businesses as well as consumers at the end of the day.
The time is 1 o'clock on Monday, May 12th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, we go in depth on how these tariffs and the reduction announced overnight will impact Utah's small business community. Also this hour,
this has just been dead space that has never been utilized, and so we're trying to activate it.
A special look at how local communities are trying to clean up and improve their neighborhoods. But first, our top stories. Investigators are looking into an e-scooter as the possible cause of a daybreak house fire. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson reports.
It's still under investigation, but officials believe the fire started on the back porch. One of the theories is that a lithium-ion battery in an e-scooter could be the cause of the large fire that quickly spread to the rest of the home. South Jordan Fire Battalion Chief John Stone says lithium-ion batteries that are aftermarket or don't have a UL rating can be especially dangerous, or if they're damaged or past their expiration date.
5 people were taken to the hospital in Carbon County this morning after a semi-truck hauling oil crashed into a home. This happened along US 6 in Wellington right before 6:30. Utah Highway Patrol says they don't know why the truck veered off the road, traveling through an open field before hitting the home. 3 people in the house and 2 in the truck were taken to the hospital with serious to critical injuries. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The last living American hostage in Gaza was freed by Hamas today. Some of Eden Alexander's friends were eagerly anticipating his release.
I can't even imagine what he's been through and how he's feeling and what it's going to be when I see him, but I am just so excited for him to be home and safe and free at last.
Alexander was serving in the Israeli military when he was kidnapped during the October 7th attack. And now there is renewed hopes of brokering a deal to end the war in Gaza and free all hostages being held. ABC's Ian Pannell notes that the U.S. brokered Iran's release on the heels of its ceasefire deal with the Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen.
What you have is a Trump administration essentially bypassing Israel for the second time. This is bad news for Netanyahu, who has been cut out of this deal, although the Israelis are going to have to secure it. It's good news for the Trump administration.
Alexander was among 251 people taken hostage in Hamas's October 7th, 2023 attack that ignited the war. 58 remain in Gaza. President Trump begins a week-long trip to the Middle East. Mr. Trump will visit Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is up by 1,100 points, sitting at 42,358. S&P 500 up by 172, and the Nasdaq up by 736 points. That's more than 4%. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
Cleanup continues of an accident southbound I-15 by Willard Bay on the shoulder, and then further south, police activity over to the right shoulder southbound I-15 approaching Marriott Slaterville. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
And right now we're looking for a high today of 88 degrees, 65 for a high tomorrow, 40% chance of showers coming tomorrow. 84 degrees from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
If you've got a honey-do list with electrical, plumbing, heating, or air conditioning projects on it, Any Hour Services can help. Call Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. anyhourservices.com.
Are you looking for a fun way to get your kids outside and off their screens this spring? Try flower gardening. Starting a beautiful flower bed or easy container garden is a great hands-on way to spend quality time together while teaching kids about nature. They'll love digging in the dirt, picking out their favorite flowers, and watching them bloom, all while making real, lasting memories. Plus, gardening is a great way to slow down, soak up some sunshine, and enjoy the fresh air as a family. This is Brian with Olson's Greenhouse, and my family has been growing flowers with care for 4 generations right here in Utah. Whether you have a big sunny backyard or just a small shady front porch, our colorful locally grown flowers make it easy to add beauty to your home. So this spring, start with a new family tradition, one that grows with your kids. Get inspiration at Olson's Greenhouse Gardens on Instagram or find a garden center near you at ogg.com. That's ogg.com for Olson's Greenhouse Gardens.
History had the gold rush, then came the oil boom, then the tech boom, but right now it's the Wi-Fi boom, and the Xfinity Wi-Fi is booming. Streaming, booming. Gaming, booming. Video calls, booming. Even when your boss schedules a meeting, it definitely should have been an email. And now you can get Xfinity Internet and mobile together in one all-in plan. It's the ultimate power couple. Wi-Fi Power Boost from Xfinity Mobile gives you faster, secure Wi-Fi speeds at home and on the go, so your Wi-Fi is booming wherever you are. Now through June 23rd, new customers can get 400 megabit Xfinity Internet with free equipment and unlimited internet data and get one unlimited 5G mobile line included, all in one plan, all for $40 a month for 1 year. So whether you're working, watching, or panning for Wi-Fi gold, one thing's for sure, Xfinity Wi-Fi is booming. Visit Xfinity.com to learn more. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account restrictions. Apply taxes, fees, extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of data usage. Data thresholds vary. After 1 year, rate increases to $110 a month. After 2 years, regular rates apply to all services up to $143 a month. Actual speeds vary.
Thanks for tuning in to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Stock markets rallying, consumer sentiment rising, and business owners sighing a bit of relief this morning. Why? The U.S. and China agreeing to cut reciprocal tariffs as the two countries continue trade talks. President Trump commenting on the deal this morning.
After productive talks in Geneva, both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue on the largest structural issues.
Business leaders and market chain experts saying the news is a welcome relief. Mark Drennan, president of AceCap, speaking to Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, it's really good news for us because we can get back in stock. It's not as good a news as we hoped, but it's good news because we can deal with 30%. 30% still means a price increase, but 145% just meant some products probably we just couldn't sell anymore. So it keeps us in business, I think.
ABC News chief economics correspondent Rebecca Jarvis has more on the relief felt by businesses nationwide, including large and small businesses.
We've heard from very big companies about this: Apple, Amazon, General Motors, Ford, McDonald's, United, Delta Airlines. There's dozens of companies who've warned about it. And then we've also heard from small businesses, farmers who have talked about how much these hurt their businesses. This morning, you have that pause in effect, which does have the ripple effect to improve the market, but there still is a great deal of uncertainty out there.
At the heart of this story, something Rebecca Jarvis just mentioned: small businesses. We wanted to go a little deeper. We spoke with Dave Davis, President and Chief Legal Officer of the Utah Retail Merchants Association, about how the tariffs on China have affected small businesses in the Beehive State. He says the tariffs in China have been hard to deal with for many businesses, but especially small businesses.
I think it's probably worthwhile just to note we do get just an enormous number of goods from China. They have become sort of the manufacturing center of the globe. And so these tariffs, when we were staring at 145% tariffs on Chinese goods, as these goods came into the country, it was just inevitable that these price increases would need to be passed on to consumers. And as it relates to small business in particular, small business was, I would say, more affected by this than some of our larger businesses. The larger businesses have the ability, a little bit more flexibility to be able to adjust supply chain because there's large volumes there. Small businesses, on the other hand, it's a little bit more difficult for them to adjust to alternate suppliers. There's just not the buying or purchasing power there that you might have with a large business. So these tariffs were going to disproportionately impact small businesses and small businesses here in Utah.
The agreement announced this morning cutting tariffs from 145 to 30%. Well, how is that going to help? Here's Dave Davis again.
115% reduction it's a big deal. Now, we still have the tariffs in place, the 30% tariffs, which are going to have an impact. But that being said, when you compare those two numbers, I'll take 30 any day over 145. And so I think it lessens the potential impact on smaller businesses as well as consumers at the end of the day.
A 30% tariff still has the potential to raise prices by a pretty big chunk. This might make consumers nervous, preventing them from spending as much as they normally would. But this kind of thing could hurt the markets around the economy even more. Davis's message to Utahns worried about buying right now, he says it's about balance.
How do we balance those potential price increases with the livelihoods, especially of local businesses that are here in our communities? And I would just remind people that these small local businesses, they infuse life into your community. They're, that corner store that if it weren't there, your community would not be as rich a place as it is today. So I would encourage people to support those businesses. I'm hopeful that this 90-day pause and reduction in tariffs will be just sort of the opening salvo to the discussions, and that hopefully China and the United States can come to an agreement moving forward that will be both permanent and beneficial to Utah businesses and small businesses in particular.
The 90-day pause on Chinese tariffs goes into effect by May 14th. Now, the Trump administration will continue trade talks with China during that time. Speaking of trade, how last week's U.S. and U.K. trade deal, how is that going to affect the agriculture industry, especially in Utah? Stay with us. We'll be back with more on that in just 60 seconds.
This heat's nice, but the real heat, it's coming. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and now is a great time to schedule a preseason AC tune-up. And I'm about to save you some money. Normally, we charge $129 to tune up your air conditioner, but if you call today, Monday, May 12th, and mention you heard this ad, we'll give you $100 off and tune up your air conditioner for only $29. Call Any Hour Services today and schedule 801-443-7400. Manufacturers recommend annual maintenance to save on utility bills, identify breakdowns before they happen, and to help your air conditioner last for as many years as possible. 801-443-7400. If it's more convenient, go to anyhourservices.com and look for the red button that says Book Online. Schedule your $29 tune-up there. That's a $129 value for only $29 if you get a hold of us today. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Welcome back to Midday. China is not the only one getting a trade deal with the U.S. Last week, the U.S. and the United Kingdom signed the first deal. Now, part of the deal affects agriculture trade between the two countries. Utah House Speaker Mike Schultz visited Washington, D.C. for a roundtable with family farmers, the Secretary of Agriculture, and other government leaders about the need for small farms throughout the U.S. He spoke with David Dujanovic about why this visit was so important.
What we've seen in the agriculture industry is this huge consolidation over the last decade or two in smaller farms and ranches being purchased by large corporations. And it's not good for Americans, and it's not good for our food supply to have that consolidation happen. One of the big things that's happened in that consolidation has been food processing. Local food processing is almost non-existent today. It's being controlled by huge corporations, and many of which aren't even owned by American companies. They're owned by other companies, and in many cases, our food goes outside of the country and gets processed and then brought back into our country. And so, one of the things I was most impressed about was that the decisions being made today inside the Trump administration, and certainly with Secretary Rollins, is that the decisions are being made based off what's best for Americans, not these large corporations. These large corporations have had the ears of politicians and bureaucrats and former secretaries of state and agriculture inside Washington, D.C. for far too long. I'm really excited that Secretary Rollins' focus is getting back, listening to the smaller farmers and ranchers and making policies and putting policies in place that's best for Americans overall and the food supply.
One of the major points of the U.S. and U.K. trade deal was the elimination of a 20% tariff on American beef. The trade deal also raising the quota of beef to 13,000 metric tons. How is this good for Utah? Here's Speaker Schultz.
One of the things that you've seen, especially inside the beef industry, is prices continue to go up on the shelves, but yet the farmers and ranchers, the price hasn't went up for those. And that's, again, due to the consolidation of the food processing, because, the middleman is taking all the profits and making all the money. What that's caused right now is a shortage of beef all across the world, not just here in the United States, but because of those things, it's put so many of our farmers and ranchers out of business. They've simply said we can't make it work, and so the beef herd numbers have been reduced significantly. And so creating more opportunities for American exports with our beef industry is absolutely good and more sustainable long term. What you've seen happen over the years is countries use high tariffs and to stop and block American imports from coming into their country. And one of the biggest is agriculture and beef. And so creating the opportunity to have a more fair trade alignment is what Secretary Rollins is really trying to do with our agriculture products, which will then lead to a more sustainable long-term for our farmers and ranchers.
Speaker Schultz says he'll continue to work with the administration to improve Utah's agriculture trade opportunities. Prescription drug prices in the U.S. known to be some of the highest in the world. President Trump signing an executive order this morning to lower the costs. More on that in a few minutes. But
Jeff Kaplan.
His Minute of News is great. It's always entertaining.
I listen to Jeff Kaplan every day.
He gives you important news and traffic and the familiar voice that helps you enjoy the ride home.
I really like Jeff's Minute of News. He's calm and he's balanced.
I really enjoy driving home and just listening to what he's got to say.
Jeff Kaplan gets me home every day.
Join the community that relies on Jeff Kaplan. He has you covered. Afternoons from 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
KSL Traffic brought to you by Mountain America's My Style Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
We do have what's left of an earlier accident, a load spill in Box Elder County, southbound I-15. This is near Willard Bay, but everything is out of traffic on the shoulder, so no backups. The Good Feet stores supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about. Your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are 2 very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Giving the gift of time during the holidays is a hallmark of the season, but the need for kind hearts and an extra pair of hands is here all year long. You Serve Utah is encouraging Utahns across the state to pledge now to serve those in need in the coming year. You and your family will help spread the holiday spirit long after the holidays have passed. When will you pledge? To sign up, visit www.userve.utah.gov.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. The last living American citizen held captive in Gaza has been released. Cheers ringing out in his hometown in New Jersey as Idan Alexander was released. He has been serving in the Israeli military, or he was serving in the Israeli military when he was captured by Hamas on October 7th, 2023. Details from ABC News.
The IDF pausing combat operations during Alexander's transfer. However, Israel says it still plans to increase military attacks in Gaza. Idan Alexander grew up in Tenafly, New Jersey. He moved to Israel to serve in the military after he graduated high school. He was assigned to the infantry and stationed near the border with Gaza in September of 2023, just weeks before October 7th. His mother traveling to Israel yesterday. She is there for that long-awaited reunion. Alexander's parents have been extremely vocal in demanding Israel work to obtain the release of their son and the other hostages. They are calling his release the greatest gift imaginable. Back home in Tenafly, the community turning out, anxiously awaiting the news of his release. Many people say it was just important to be there to show their support for the entire family.
ABC News spoke to Agam Shalem, a high school friend in Tenafly, New Jersey, Idan's hometown. They were housemates in an Israeli kibbutz serving together in the Israeli military.
I can't even imagine what he's been through and how he's feeling and what it's going to be when I see him, but I am just so excited for him to be home and safe and free at last.
Idan's mother speaking to her son for the first time just a short time ago.
They just released a photo of you. You look unbelievable. Wow. You look beautiful. I love you so much.
Idan was the last living American hostage. ABC's Jordana Miller here on the other Americans still not home.
We're not getting all of the Americans out. Hamas is still holding 4 bodies of Americans, but we do understand that there's even some talk still about getting those bodies out.
The hostage release was negotiated directly between the Trump administration and Hamas. In other political news, President Trump reviving a plan to cut prescription drug pricing with the goal of getting prices in America to be more similar to prices in other countries. Midday executive producer Andy Kupp is here with details. And Andy, didn't he do something like this in his first term, and didn't President Biden do something similar?
Yeah, this isn't a completely new idea. It's been attempted by President Trump and President Biden. So President Trump attempted to do a lighter version of this during his first term, but then our federal judge blocked it and it failed to go anywhere. Then President Biden came in and he tried to lower prescription drug costs by allowing direct negotiations between Medicaid and Medicare and the drug manufacturers. President Trump just reversed that as soon as he came into office for the second term. But today, he's saying that it's time for Americans to be treated more fairly with prescription drug prices.
We're going to pay what Europe's going to pay. We're going to all pay. Now, there may be some countries in dire need, and I would be willing to sacrifice that and help them. But it's called Most Favored Nation. We are going to pay the lowest price there is in the world.
Now, the president's executive order, which was signed this morning, imposes a 30-day deadline for drug makers to either voluntarily lower the costs or face a new rule that would limit what the U.S. drug costs to prices paid overseas, which Big Pharma says will slow down research on new drugs.
One breast cancer drug costs Americans over $16,000 per bottle, but the same drug from the same factory manufactured by the same company is 1/6 that price in Australia.
So for years, drug companies and pharmaceutical companies have said that we here in America pay higher prices to cover things like development and research, or the pharmacy benefit managers, who are kind of like that middleman that handle negotiations between insurers and drug makers. So the president today said he thought it was ridiculous, basically, that Americans had to kind of bear the brunt of research and development alone, saying, quote, "Not anymore, they don't."
Do we have any idea which drugs will be affected?
Not yet. Those specific details are still pretty foggy, and then the actual amount of the price cut is also still a little foggy. The president last night wrote that it would be a 59% cut. This morning, he said it would be a 30 to 80% cut. And then in last October, the Congressional Budget Office said that if they, set a price max on these, it would only lower the cost of a prescription by about 5%. So it's a wide range, no idea exactly where that's going.
Kind of a wait and see.
Yeah. While also speaking in the press conference this morning where he was talking about drug pricing, President Trump also talked about the ceasefire deal that was reached over the weekend between India and Pakistan.
We stopped a nuclear conflict. I think it could have been a bad nuclear war.
So the ceasefire, as of now, appears to be holding, even after accusations yesterday from India that Pakistan had already broken the agreement. So the president today saying that the U.S. played a major role in this deal.
On Saturday, my administration helped broker a full and immediate ceasefire, I think a permanent one, between India and Pakistan, ending a dangerous conflict of two nations with lots of nuclear weapons.
And we'll see if this does turn out to be a permanent ceasefire. Those are sometimes very hard to reach. In addition to that, trade negotiations between the U.S. and India and Pakistan are also ongoing, according to the president. So, Maria, back to you.
Thanks, Andy. Back here in the U.S., growing calls for a new air traffic control system after more radar problems at Newark Airport this weekend. ABC's Gio Benitez.
Sunday morning's 45-minute ground stop was initially thought to be due to an outage, but the FAA clarified it was an audio popping issue with regional controllers. Overnight Friday, radar screens going black for a minute and a half.
FedEx 1989, I hand you off here. Our scopes just went black again.
The fallout starting April 28th when an outage at Newark Liberty caused the air traffic control computer screens to go dark for 60 to 90 seconds. The controllers unable to talk to the pilots in the sky.
Well, that's terrifying. And it comes as Newark Airport prepares for record crowd numbers, too.
On Wednesday, the airlines will meet with the FAA to try to sort this all out. And they have reason to, because AAA is now projecting about 45 million travelers domestically for Memorial Day weekend. That's about 1 million more than last year. So if that happens, it will set a record.
Okay, Andy, you're going to have to settle me down on this one. You know, I'm a person in the know, and I bought tickets to Newark months ago before all of this hubbub started. Had no idea of problems at the Newark airport. And now I'm in this situation where I'm flying into Newark on June 5th for a family wedding, and I don't know what to do. I'm like, at this point, I probably can't even get a ticket to JFK for that same day.
No, and
there's a rehearsal dinner just like hours after we fly in. So if there's a huge delay, I'm really concerned about that.
Well, and I take it if you're flying into Newark, you're probably flying on United, correct?
No, we're actually flying on Delta doing an overnight thing.
Then you might be able to change that to LaGuardia or JFK. I mean, Delta flies direct from here to either of those places, you know? But I would say, too, you're probably not the only one who's looking at trying to avoid Newark.
So the other thing is, the reason we selected Newark is because it's closer to Long Island, where this wedding is. And also, we are staying in the Manhattan area, but we're staying in Union City, and Newark is much easier to access from there. So there were really good reasons why we selected this airport. And now I have to decide. I'm just hoping that they fix things. I mean, they've got 3 weeks. Can they do it? Can they get things? I don't know. Then you hear one problem after another.
Peace of mind. Is it worth it? You know, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Good luck.
Stay tuned. We'll see how this all goes. It's 1:30, midday at KSL News Radio. Hello, I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. Local Utahns coming together to clean up and beautify their neighborhoods. Musk oxen celebrating Mother's Day, and KSL traffic. Ricky?
We do have this accident still being cleared southbound I-15 by Willard Bay, plus delays going from Riverdale to Roy. Maria?
Thanks, Ricky. KSL's top local stories in just 1 minute. But first, let's get the latest on your national headlines with ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The final living American hostage released today by Hamas in a U.S. broker deal. Idan Alexander, taken by Hamas in the October 7th attacks from his military position, now in Israeli custody and receiving medical evaluation. His mother, Eyal, traveled from their home in New Jersey to Tel Aviv and spoke to him briefly by phone after he was freed.
They just released a photo of you. You look unbelievable. Wow. You look beautiful. I love you so much.
Alexander was held captive for more than 580 days. President Trump traveling to the Middle East to meet with Arab leaders. He says hopefully to jumpstart Gaza ceasefire talks. The president will not be meeting with Israeli leaders. Talks over the weekend between the U.S. and China leading to a temporary trade war truce between the world's two largest economic powers, both agreeing to a 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs. The 10% tariffs on Chinese goods remain. Stocks surging on the news today. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local stories. A West Haven woman will be sentenced today for her role in the death of her stepson, Gavin Peterson. Gavin's father, Shane Peterson, was sentenced last week. KSL legal analyst Greg Skorda says Nicole Scott will likely get a harsher sentence.
His most serious charge was also a first-degree felony, but it was child abuse homicide. It carried 5 to life. Hers is an outright murder, which is 15 to life. So the sentences will be similar, except that her guideline range, the time she's probably going to serve, will be significantly more than his.
Scott pleaded guilty earlier this year to being part of the abuse and neglect that led to Gavin's death last July. Other local stories KSL is following. Businesses worried about changing tariffs could soon get a boost from local college students. Some Utah State University students have launched a new app. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
The app called TerraFlow uses AI to constantly keep up with executive orders and tariff rates on all sorts of products. Co-founder of the app, Tanner Helms, tells me the AI also tracks and logs this data over the last decade to help companies see the trends. He also says they keep track of rumors, so if there's word an executive order or tariff is coming, they can alert companies so they can better prepare themselves.
Helm says they've already partnered with nearly a dozen large businesses and the World Trade Center in New York. The U.S. is suspending all cattle, horse, and bison imports from Mexico after reports of screwworm, a deadly parasitic fly. Utah Department of Agriculture and Food State veterinarian Dr. Amanda Price says Utah could see the side effects.
We do import Mexican cattle for slaughter. So we'll bring them into feedlots up here. So, and then the Mexican branded roping steers that we bring in for our rodeos.
Screwworm hasn't been in the U.S. since the 1960s. Price doesn't think it will come back, but she says if it does, the border states will be the first to report sightings. A major thoroughfare in Bountiful is getting refreshed this summer, but it will cause delays. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has more.
Construction work begins today on 500 South between Orchard Drive and 200 West. On Facebook, the City of Bountiful says they are replacing gutters, curbs, and sidewalks. The street itself will also get an asphalt overlay. Officials hope the work will be complete by the end of this June.
Drivers should expect to see a lot of orange barrels and possible detours during construction. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is up by more than 1,100 points, sitting at 42,362. S&P 500 up by 172 points. That's more than 3%. The NASDAQ, it's up by more than 4%, up by 726 points. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky, what's happening on the roads?
We've had a little bit of busy traffic once again. Southbound I-15 approaching 6 North on the descent to downtown. We still have the cleanup of the accident on southbound I-15 in Box Elder County by Willard Bay, but it's out of traffic, not going to cause you any slowing. Where you could see slowdowns, that's southbound I-15 between Riverdale Road through Roy, where we have construction. Ricky Meeson, the KSL Traffic Center.
Today is the warmest of the next 7. We are looking for a high today of 88 degrees, but tomorrow the temperature dropping dramatically down to a high of 65 and a 40% chance of showers. That chance of showers growing to a 70% chance on Wednesday. Right now, 84 degrees from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house. Whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Troy, can you believe Memorial Day is almost here?
Pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting?
Yeah.
That's all you got for the official start to camping season and our entire reason for living?
I am excited, yes. What do you want from me?
Get pumped, man. It's camping Christmas. Kind of a big deal.
Oh, it's a huge flippin' deal. That's why Bish's is already celebrating Memorial Day with big deals on all RVs. We're selling travel trailers starting under $139 per month on approved credit.
And don't forget, no tariff fees on new in-stock RVs.
Plus 90 days of all play and no pay OAC.
And clearance pricing on all remaining 2024s while they last.
We're even delivering select RVs same day so you can camp right away.
Same day camping? That is a big flippin' deal.
Told you, camping season is a big deal. So come get the real big deals during the Memorial Day sales event happening right now at Bish's RV of Salt Lake and American Fork, where memories begin.
Based on approved credit, 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock numbers 90452-81733. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details.
Do you need new windows? Look, all glass pretty much looks the same to the naked eye, but if your windows aren't triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane glass, the cold is seeping in. You need to call Advanced Window Products. They use the highest quality glass and premium vinyl to create state-of-the-art windows and frames, and for 38 years, they build those frames right here in Utah. Custom crafted for Utah's climate. The best windows you can buy at prices 30 and 40% less than what the big companies charge because they cut out the middleman. They're the factory. They even give you a lifetime warranty, and right now as we head into spring, save an extra $2,500 off 10 windows or more. Custom windows that'll give your house a fresh new look and save you money on your heating and air conditioning. Advanced Windows offers 60-month 0% financing, even buy now, pay later, and an extra $2,500 off. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Hi, this is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Every 2 minutes, another American is sexually assaulted. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, you are not alone. Help is just a call or click away through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Please call 1-800-656-HOPE, that's HOPE, or visit rain.org, that's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. On Friday, we asked you to share news of service projects in your area, things you and your neighbors are doing to beautify your community. As the weather gets nicer, people are more apt to get outside and make a difference. Communities across the Wasatch Front are joining together to clean up and develop dead spaces, some of which are under overpasses. One such spot is an underpass in Salt Lake's Central 9th community. That's where the neighborhood has come together to create a special community gathering place. Over the weekend, they held a ribbon cutting and festival that included live music. Doug Flagler is the chair of the Central 9th Community Council, and he spoke with KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi about the transformation.
For as long as most people have remembered, this has just been an empty space. I don't even know what year they put this underpass in, but this has just been dead space that has never been utilized, and so we're trying to activate it. How many spots in Salt Lake City do you have a covered outdoor public space? So we really saw that as an asset for this, and so we're working to transform the space into a community gathering place where people can come and utilize it.
Flagler says neighbors have come together to volunteer their time to turn an unsavory area into a special neighborhood gathering spot.
It's been great. Like, we've had people that have lived here a long time that they never thought they would see anything positive happening here. They've seen problems over the years, and there's been people that have come here and done some things that aren't so great. But since we've had the fence moved and started activating the space last October, we've seen a lot fewer problems than we have in the previous years under the space. And you know, we've done 2 cleanups here, and that's just helped. Each time that we do it, we get more people that are like, hey, how can I be involved? How can I help out? And it's really is a grassroots effort from the neighborhood to change the space. And we're just so thankful for everybody that's helped us along the way. All the generous community donors and sponsors. We couldn't do it without them.
Now, instead of an area covered with graffiti and weeds, it's become a clean, inviting space, which includes a futsal soccer court, something fairly new to Utah.
We have been able to raise enough money to put in 1 futsal court. We're hopeful that we can get the money to do 2, and maybe some people are calling it a Zoomy zone, which would be a space for dogs to come and play, and then maybe some other amenities. But we're working with GSBS Architecture. They're helping us reimagine the space. So.
Okay, so describe again what futsal is.
So futsal is small court soccer. It's played on a hard surface versus grass. And it's great for urban environments, and it's taken off in a lot of other places.
And a great place for kids. They have the Zoomies, too. Now, Nick Raimondo from Rise Athletic Foundation has been spearheading the effort to raise the money to build its futsal courts. Now, Raimondo was recently inducted in the U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame, and he also spoke at the weekend event.
This is my home away from home. I'm always in Central Ninth. And then when I heard about this project, I wanted to jump on that as fast as I could. I think this is a killer spot for not only for the community to come together, but to include some futsal courts here. Futsal courts have been proven around the world that they bring cultures together, they bring communities together.
The area city council member Darren Mano also told the crowd about the city's participation in the project.
But I'm really happy to be here and see something that a germ of an idea that for me went back more than 10 years ago to actually seeing an event here. So I'm really excited. We as the city, through our CRA arm, have invested $50,000 in this project. And that's something that money is there for, but it's really uncommon for us to be able to find a project that is so ready to go that we can put money into it and see something like this so quickly. And that really is kudos to Carrie and to the neighborhood that has been working on this. So thank you so much. This is a lot of really positive energy that have been put into actually doing something productive. And to me, this is to me, I think, probably the most sort of beautiful example in my term on council of the neighborhood coming together to an idea that we actually see on the ground very, very quickly. Normally our projects take years and years to come to fruition, and look at us here already. So thank you so much, and let's have fun today.
You can just hear the excitement. And Doug Flagler says the community is just getting started. He says the Department of Transportation and local architecture firm GSBS are involved in the improvements.
They have stepped in and are helping us reimagine the space. We could not do this without their help. So it really is like they're going out to the community and finding out what the community can use here and what can work in this space. They have a blank slate, and we just encourage people to, if they have ideas or thoughts, to hit up the Central Ninth Community Council. They can find us on social media, and if they can somehow do something under here or can utilize this space while we're reimagining it, please let us know. We're open to ideas.
As you and your neighbors continue to work on community projects for the summer, don't forget to let us know. We'd love the opportunity to share your stories here on Midday. You can call 801-575-4606 and leave us a message with the details. Midday with Maria Shilaos continues with our question of the day in just 60 seconds.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade Event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade Event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See you for full details and disclaimer.
As communities come together to clean up and beautify their neighborhoods, many are avoiding planting more sod. In a desert environment like ours, sod and grass can be real water suckers. But it's not just the environmental concerns, is it, Andy Cupp, Midday executive producer?
It's not.
Many
Utah utilities are raising their water rates as well. So if you want to help the environment, fantastic. If you want to save some money, also fantastic. So in Salt Lake City, where I live, they've proposed a new rate that would go into effect in July. And it's a general increase, but it's not a standard percentage, so it varies depending on demand. It's a little confusing. I got a postcard in the mail that told me like how much mine would go up, and I have to look at that again. But we just planted our garden this weekend, so we're getting right into peak water usage for the year. So we've thought about a few ways to reduce our water. Really, we've looked at getting rid of grass, but that's expensive to get rid of grass. It really is.
It really is. When you're putting in something else, it's definitely expensive.
Yeah.
And it kind of leads us to today's question of the day. And as a reminder, this is your chance to chime in on the news stories of the day and how they're impacting your life. We want to hear your comments and concerns, and we'll do that, again, by posing a question every day, then asking you to respond. You can either do so on the KSL News Radio app or by phone. And it's so easy on the app. You just open up your app, and at the bottom of the page, you see the call-in tab. You just click on that, and you tell us your first name and where you're calling from, and then give us a quick response to the question. And the good thing about the app is you can also review your answer and re-record your message if you want to.
But if you're a little bit more old school, you can also call and leave us a message, 801-575-4606. And if you're not comfortable voicing your, opinions and wanting those on the air, also you can check out Maria Shilaos on social media. We'll be posting the question there and would love for you to comment with your thoughts. We're happy to read them for you if you're not comfortable. But then each day at 1:35 or so, we'll share some of those thoughts and hear from the experts who can speak to them.
So today's question of the day: what are you doing or thinking about doing to save water in your landscape? Flipping the strip, putting in more rock, replacing your grass with artificial turf? Let us know. And again, all you need to do is leave us your name. You don't even have to leave us your name if you're uncomfortable with that. Just tell us where you're calling from and then give us your response. And on the KSL News Radio app, just tap that call-in tab. Or, again, you can call and leave your message at 801-575-4606.
Or follow the Maria Shilaos Facebook page, comment on the post. I'm going to be posting it here in just a couple of minutes.
Soviet-era spacecraft could come crashing down to Earth soon, 50 years after they were launched. The latest on that story after the break. But first, let's check traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle Homegrown Loans. Ricky?
We still have the cleanup that continues of an accident southbound I-15 near Willard Bay. Everybody out of traffic. No delay there. Delays are waiting for you, though. Southbound I-15 in Weber County going through Riverdale and Roy. That is due to construction with a left lane restricted. Break your routine and get into adventure in Cedar City, Bryan Head. Connected to nature, Cedar City makes spring the best break ever. Shopping, dining, and recreation galore. Break up your adventure. Visit cedarcity.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
I know it's Monday, but give me 60 seconds and I'll explain how spending $29 guarantees your air conditioner won't break down this summer. Or we'll give you your money back. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and when you have Any Hour do the annual maintenance for your air conditioner, it comes with our no breakdown guarantee. 801-443-7400. Normally, we charge $129 to tune up your air conditioner, but not today. If you call today, Monday, May 12th, and mention you heard this ad, we'll give you $100 off and tune up your air conditioner for only $29. 801-443-7400. If your AC breaks down any time this summer after we've tuned it up, we'll dispatch a technician to your home to diagnose and troubleshoot your system for free, and we'll give you back the $29 you paid for the tune-up. Where else are you going to find an offer with this little risk? You literally get your money back if your air conditioner breaks down. Call Any Hour Services and schedule your $29 air conditioner tune-up. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Are you struggling with pain in your feet, ankles, knees, hips, or lower back? At the Good Feet store, we recommend having high-quality support in all of your shoes. Our personalized arch support system has helped countless people find relief, like Karen. Here is her Good Feet story.
after I decided my pain was too much, and my doctor actually suggested that I do visit the Good Feet store. Pretty amazing when they put the arch supports in your shoe and you walk around and you realize there's not pain, and you think, how can this arch support in my shoe make my back pain go away? But it works. And how can it make my knee pain go away? It was incredible.
Come to the Good Feet store today and see what we can do for you. Good Feet arch supports are in stock and available in over 300 different styles and sizes.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Stop in today at the Good Feet store.
Join KSL on the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1 at the Salt Lake NPS store, 1600 Empire Road in Salt Lake City, npsstore.com.
Here with Matt Ashdown from True Rinse Carpet Cleaning. Matt, people are diving into spring cleaning. What can you share about cleaning inside the home?
Spring's the perfect time to hit reset and clean out filth and sickness that Utah winters bring into our homes. Carpet and rugs are a giant filter, so now's the time to clean and refresh. Our couches have taken a beating too. They're full of allergens, hairs, oils, spills, and things you probably don't even want to think about. They definitely need a spring refresh.
Yeah, True Rinse does things differently though, right?
True Rinse has been a professional carpet cleaning business for over 20 years. With countless hours of training, our technicians apply state-of-the-art cleaning techniques using powerful combinations of water, heat, suction, and no harsh chemicals, delivering a safe, effective clean and a quicker dry time. That's why people choose True Rinse and stay loyal.
And you got a spring offer.
Yes, spring into savings. Get 3 areas clean for just $119.
3 areas for $119. Schedule now at TrueRinse.com. That's TrueRinse.com, Utah's carpet cleaning experts.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
This is Midday with Maria Shilaos. The Soviet Union has been gone for more than 30 years, but their space debris is still floating around the cosmos. On the ABC News Start Here podcast, Stephen Portnoy and Matthew Glasser break down an upcoming Soviet-era spacecraft crash.
What was the best-selling car in the world 53 years ago?
Built into every 1972 Volkswagen is a network of sensors leading to one central socket.
That's astronaut Buzz Aldrin doing the pitch for the VW Beetle. The second man to walk on the moon said in this commercial that the car had space-age diagnostic tech.
This printout sheet just told me that the battery in that Volkswagen needs water.
Well, at the time that commercial was running, the space race was still running pretty hot.
The Soviet Union is proud of the fact that it launched the space age with the first Sputnik.
The Soviets have tried to sustain a competitive space program on an economy less than half the size of America's.
The U.S. had sent up several Apollo missions, but the Soviets had never set foot on the moon.
The Soviet Union has reached the moon, but with unmanned vehicles. Luna 16 brought back moon soil samples.
Moscow did find success with probes heading for Venus and Mars as early as the 1960s.
We do know, though, that they were successful in landing 10 probes on Venus. Some of them lasted as long as 2 hours. The shortest, I believe, was about 23 minutes. And one of the ways we know what we know about Venus is because some of the photos they were able to get back from those probes.
That's ABC's Matthew Glasser, who covers climate, weather, and space for us. He says the Soviets were not particularly forthcoming with the world about their intentions in space. And this story is about one mission that launched in March of 1972.
This was one of those probes. However, it had a malfunction and it wasn't able to escape lower Earth orbit. And so the thought is that the upper stage of the rocket failed to launch.
That March 1972 mission was a failure, and the half-ton, egg-shaped spacecraft, since known as Cosmos 482, has been circling the planet Earth ever since. Now, you may have heard there's a lot of space junk just floating up there. Long-dead satellites, garbage, and debris from missions. Often, when such things get sucked back into Earth's atmosphere, they just burn up during re-entry. But this time, it's different. Cosmos 482 was built with a heat shield.
Since this one was designed to land on Venus, the concern is that it's going to come down in one piece. And we're talking about a 1,200-pound probe. That's about 3 feet wide.
So this half-ton egg-shaped thing is about to drop out of the sky at 150 miles an hour. When? Where? Well, we don't know precisely.
So there's a satellite tracking network in Netherlands who have been tracking this object very closely, and they've been updating their estimate for when it's going to return.
Matthew says the estimates range anywhere from tonight through sometime Sunday. And as for where? Well, nobody knows.
It's basically free-falling back to Earth. And because there's no way to control it, no way to manipulate anything on it, it's going to fall where it's going to fall.
The good news for us is most of our planet is water, so the odds favor this thing just splashing down. But could it land on someone's house?
The astronomers that have spoken out and have been tracking the object, their message has been it's a very low risk, but it's not a zero risk.
If it does fall near where people live, they'll see it. They'll probably hear it, too. A 3-foot-wide fireball just dropping out of the sky.
Okay, just something to keep in mind as you go about your week. Mark Twain is getting the Hamilton treatment, not the Broadway musical part, the original source part. Here's ABC's Sherry Preston.
I am not throwing away my shot. Before Alexander Hamilton's life was made into a Tony Award-winning musical by Lin-Manuel Miranda, it was a Pulitzer Prize-winning biography written by Ron Chernow. Now, Chernow has written a 1,000-page biography about author and humorist Mark Twain, a towering figure in American literature and humor who Chernow describes as someone willing to tangle with anyone. The massive 1,000-page book is actually short compared with Twain's own authorized biography, which clocked in at 2 volumes and 1,500 pages long. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Most of us celebrated Mother's Day either grilling or taking our moms to dinner, but in Palmer, Alaska, families celebrate in a unique way. Mother's Day is the traditional start of the summer season for the Musk Ox Farm, which is about an hour's drive north of Anchorage. All moms get a flower, free admission, and the chance to get up close with the musk ox. Education director for the farm, Danny Beyerstecker, spoke to the Associated Press about the amazing outdoor experience.
The Muskox Farm is a nonprofit, and we've been located here on this facility in Palmer, Alaska since 1986. And since then, we've done an annual Mother's Day celebration where we're celebrating our human moms and our mama muskoxen. And so we open up to the public for one day to get to wander a select couple chutes and get to see these guys a little bit different than you can on our normal everyday business. So the Muskox Farm is surrounded by beautiful mountain ranges. So behind me is the Talkeetnas, and we have 75 beautiful acres out here with 75 amazing musk oxen on them, 3 of which are brand new as of the last couple weeks. Musk ox are an amazing Arctic critter that are made for the harsh Arctic here in Alaska and all over the circumpolar. And so we keep them here for both education, and they give us their tribute every spring. If you were to think about a muskoxen as a giant Arctic goat, so they've survived the last ice age, they're very much their own thing, but their closest relatives here in North America is actually a mountain goat. And so they have lots of goaty tendencies with just a lot of extra weight behind them.
So the musk oxen are hefty ice age survivors whose ancestors once roamed the earth with the saber-toothed tigers and mastodons.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio,
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Strong winds prompting storm warnings and creating damage across northern Utah.
The tree had come down on the fence. It went right at the fence post and shattered the fence post.
The time is 2 o'clock on Monday, May 12th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, could we expect to see similar wind gusts today? Also this hour,
check before you outdoor wreck. Check for weather conditions. Check the park's website.
just a few weeks left before summer vacation, what you need to do to make sure that you can get a camping space. But first, our top stories. Getting a top draft pick often means having a rough season. But even with a terrible record, Salt Lake City is still rated as one of the best places in the country to watch basketball. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
The NBA is big business, and Jazz fans continue to show up to games all season long, even while wins were not exactly the top priority. Wallet Hub does a yearly ranking based on 21 metrics, ranging from fan attendance and ticket prices to the franchise value. In Salt Lake City, it's right up there near the top at fourth, only behind LA, Boston, and San Francisco. The rankings also get a boost from having local college teams that have a history of winning. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story. Wall Street has been responding well today after the United States and China announced an agreement to temporarily cut reciprocal tariffs. President Trump commented on it in the Oval Office.
After productive talks in Geneva, both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue on the largest structural issues.
The U.S. will still impose a 30% duty on Chinese imports, mostly in response to the fentanyl crisis. However, there's now an agreement to keep talking in hopes of achieving a broader agreement. A pair of Utah State University students have launched an AI-powered app to help businesses navigate the constant changes surrounding tariffs. It's called TariffFlow, and it tracks tariff rates on various products to help companies know how much they need to plan on spending. Co-founder Tanner Helm says they wanted to do this because when businesses have to track this data by hand, it can cost a lot of time and money.
We will be able to save them hundreds and hours of time as well as money by having something that's automated to see exactly how the supply chain is impacted instead of humans trying to do this.
Helm says they're already partnering with several large companies and the World Trade Center in New York. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up by more than 1,100 points, sitting at 42,410 at the close. S&P 500 is up by 185 points. The NASDAQ up by 779 points. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
We do have some slowdowns northbound I-15 in Davis County. I think it's due to UHP holding back traffic prior to the Highway 89 split in Farmington to clear the road. They've released traffic now, so a little bit of backup remains. Also a new accident. It's northbound I-215's West Belt at 700 North at the bottom of the off-ramp. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
High temperature headed to 88 degrees today. Tonight, a low of 68 degrees. Tomorrow, though, things changing big time. Temperature dropping down to a high of 65 and a 40% chance of showers, 70% chance on Wednesday. 85 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Market volatility isn't slowing down. If you're nearing retirement, now is not the time to wait and see. Every day of uncertainty can put your future at risk. It's time to diversify. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I want you to know you can create certainty, locking in guaranteed income for life. This means predictable, stable cash flow, even in turbulent times. You've worked too hard to leave your retirement to chance. Right now, there are options to receive up to 30% upfront or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't wait. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any examples provided are hypothetical. Annuities are issued with prospectus and sales brochures and should be reviewed carefully before funding as features and benefits vary. DBA in most states as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. It is time for our annual spring clearance sale at Arctic Spas. Tons of hot tubs, swim spas, all weather pools, saunas, and cold tubs all on sale at up to $7,500 off. Yes, up to $7,500 off. Just in time for the summer fun to begin. Plus, we have a few models left over from last year, like an Arctic Spa Polaris, a 7-foot by 7-foot with 40 massaging jets, 2 pumps, ozone water purification, UV water purification, multicolored LED lights, and a waterfall, now discounted to $89.95. Swim spas starting out at $19,995. This brings a pool to your backyard all year long, but especially for the family fun this summer. Comfort and convenience is on sale with our automated saltwater system. Or save even more with almost new refurbished Arctic Spas from years past. Start out online at ArcticSpasUtah.com to pick out your favorite spa. Then stop by one of our 3 Arctic Spa stores covering all of Utah: Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Strong winds knocking down trees and causing concern among firefighters battling several fires around the region. Yesterday's storm brought quite a punch to northern Utah and could continue today, albeit maybe not as strong. Thanks for tuning in to Midday with Maria Shilaos. The heart of the story are the Utahns with storm-damaged property.
We just got hit hard. That wind just came up and boom. You know, and then I walked outside and seen the tree on top of the roof over here, and I thought, oh gosh, okay. You know, we had some damage and stuff, so now just have to see if the insurance is going to kick in and go from there.
Dick Healy of Tooele spoke with KSL TV last night. Joining me now, more to go in depth on this storm and what we can expect today is KSL meteorologist Devin Mashuli. So, Devin, tell us first of all about yesterday's storm. What kind of winds did we record?
So yesterday we had wind gusts up to about, anywhere from 40 miles per hour. That's just from our daytime really strong wind gusts. But then the higher wind gusts around 60 to 75 miles per hour were actually from some isolated thunderstorms that we had yesterday. When we have a really dry layer at the surface and then a moist air above that, when that moist air falls, so the rain comes down into that dry layer, it evaporates, it cools down, and cool air is more dense, so it falls down more rapidly to the surface. So areas that saw tree damage or any other type of damage likely had some of those really strong wind gusts come down in through that dry layer and then, cause the damage that we saw.
Right. We heard from Dick Healy of Tooele. Mm-hmm. Was that one of the hardest hit areas?
Yeah, I would say Tooele is what we heard the most, or Grantsville area in Tooele County. And then up in, I believe, Cache Valley, we saw some pretty decent wind gust damage up there from thunderstorms.
Okay, so what are we going to see today and tonight?
Today's a little bit different. While the winds are constantly still strong out there, like we saw yesterday throughout the entire day, we just had strong winds. Today, we're not expecting those isolated thunderstorms. However, the winds are still strong today. We could still have wind gusts up to 60 to 65 miles per hour, which is thunderstorm strength in some scenarios. So especially closer to the western desert or Cedar City, those areas could have some stronger wind gusts. But up here along the Wasatch Front, up to 50, 55 miles per hour, they will die down after midnight. We need a cold front to kind of sweep through, and that'll help calm the winds down, at least for the western side of the state tonight. But they'll remain strong along the eastern side of the state throughout the day tomorrow.
So when are we expecting the rain?
The rain will come throughout the day tomorrow, mainly in the afternoon and evening, not a washout, kind of hit or miss showers, some isolated thunderstorms, as well as on Wednesday. And then we kind of flush things out with this low pressure system and get a little bit quieter through Thursday and Friday.
So with those wind gusts of 60, what should people be aware of?
Hopefully, if you know your trees are a little bit weaker, you could see the damage that we saw with these storms that we just had. But we're hoping that these storms aren't as strong. They don't have a severe capability like the ones we had yesterday, but still wind gusts can be really strong in some of our thunderstorms. So just be aware that maybe tomorrow or Wednesday we could have, I think, isolated damage, not as scattered as we saw yesterday.
All right, Devin, thanks for your help on this.
No problem.
That's Devin Mashuli, KSL TV meteorologist. Now, among those who saw damage yesterday is Valen Carter.
As we were driving to church, we saw that the tree had come down on the fence. It went right at the fence post and shattered the fence post. And we had another branch came down on top of the bedroom, and it made a horrible noise, and that's what I think we heard with him. And it dented the drain gutter, and we have a friend a couple of blocks over that has like a 3-year-old tree, and it just snapped it in half. And my friend in Tooele called me, and she goes, my sister Tracy over here a couple of blocks away, she just sent me a couple of pictures that you've got a tree down at your house, and there's a big tree down at the church. And then we kept getting phone calls and text messages from all the neighbors and everybody going, you got a tree down, you got a tree down.
Dick Healy, one of those in Tooele, talking about how this storm compared with others in the past.
When they got home, it kicked up again and more limbs flew, but not the big trees. So, but we've had trees over there last year, a couple of years ago, that blew over. But it's windy out here.
Among those worried about yesterday's fierce winds were firefighters putting out little fires everywhere. South Jordan Deputy Fire Chief Ryan Lessner says a house fire in Daybreak could have been much worse due to the wind.
Strong gusty winds, and that's always a concern when we have any fire that we respond to, whether it's a grass fire, wildland fire, or a structure fire. So we did call for additional units from our mutual aid partners, which was very beneficial to ensure that we didn't have extension to other residents' homes in the area.
In West Valley City, a garage fire prompted a quick response from fire officials. And just a few doors down, Gilberto Serrano says he was worried that the first would blow over his house.
I was scared. I was like, is this fire going to travel to my house? Because it's a pretty windy day out. So we were watering the grass so it wouldn't spread, be more of a disaster. So it's scary and frightening.
And Devin Mashuli telling us those winds should die down tonight ahead of a higher chance of rain over the next few days. Stay with us. We'll be back with more on Midday in just 60 seconds.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part one in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result? Connecticut delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
Thanks for being with me today on Midday. Summer is just around the corner. Many schools are going to be ending by the end of the month, and you are bound to be heading out on trips. But if you're planning to head to Utah State Parks to go camping, KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson reports you better hurry.
Memorial Day and summer break are on the horizon, and Devin Chavez, Deputy Director of Utah State Parks, says if you're planning to camp, you'll want to book right away because they're already filling up.
You may be able to still find openings on short notice in the form of reservations a couple days before or even walk-ins day of, but you shouldn't base your entire trip on a chance like that.
Chavez says their most popular locations are usually around reservoirs like Sand Hollow and Jordanelle State Parks. However, he warns that if you're going anytime soon, the weather may be hot, but the water is still cold. Heather Peterson, KSL News Radio.
Chavez says the water is chillier than you might expect because the snow is still melting this time of year.
And that means that a lot of the water in a lot of our reservoirs is still cold. Even down in Sand Hollow State Park, I'm looking at the live weather app that we have right now for the water there. And the water at Sand Hollow is 66 degrees right now, even though it is significantly hotter down there. So it's not just assuming because it's hot outside that the water is going to be warm, but then also it's also a reminder to always wear your life jacket. That way, even if the water is warm, if something does happen, you do have that life jacket there to be able to be your first line of defense.
If you are still looking, he says there's an easy way to find campsite openings.
Utah State Parks has actually implemented an awesome way for people to see what campsites are open without doing like an extensive search. If you go to stateparks.utah.gov and click on the reserve button, it'll take you to our reservations page, and right there for everybody to see is a little button that says camping this weekend. You can click that button and it'll show you all of the current campsites across the entire state open in short notice. And I checked just now, and there are still sites available at many places across the state. That includes campgrounds that allow for RVs, hookups, primitive tent camping, and even some lodging in the form of cabins, tents, yurts, tiny home cottages, things like that.
Their mantra when camping or visiting the parks is, you've heard it before, know before you go.
Check before you outdoor rec. Check for weather conditions. Check the park's website to see if there are wait times or if a park has reached capacity. And always be willing to be flexible. If the park that you're planning to visit is full, or maybe there's wait time, or maybe you're just wanting to try something new, we highly recommend venturing out and visiting a park you haven't done before. It could very well become your new favorite.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, a look at how artificial intelligence could track your risks for cancer and diseases based on your genetic and individual history. But first, it's a look at KSL traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky, what's happening?
We do have a new accident, and it's on northbound I-15. It's about halfway between 1300 South and the 6 South exit downtown, but it's out of traffic on the shoulder. We don't have any emergency crews that have arrived yet. We'll keep you posted, but right now, no delay. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Have a minute?
I love Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News.
It's more of a personal take on the news from Jeff.
Get caught up on the latest news and hear Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News for thought-provoking, playful commentary.
It's usually funny.
Like he's said before, it varies from day to day, and it's always entertaining.
My Minute of News, it puts a smile on my face.
If you have a minute, you need to catch Jeff's Minute. My Minute of News, weekdays from 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Behold, is I, Queen Trustworth, sentinel for seniors amongst the Knights of Scamelot, here to give thee warning. Scams and fraud are on the rise in Utah, and seniors are especially under siege. Be wary of unsolicited texts, phone calls, and salespeople asking for personal or financial information, and never send money to someone thou hast only met online. If thou hast doubts, talk to someone thou trusteth and get educated at scams.utah.gov.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s, and less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-917-4635, and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-917-4635. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-917-4635 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-917-4635.
Need to replace your Social Security card? In most states, you can request one online with a My Social Security account. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can also get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Hi, it's Tori DeVito. In every family, small conversations can make a big impact. I grew up on tour with my parents. Kind of different, but we bonded over music just like other families do over sports, camping, or other interests. And we talked. Little everyday conversations from silly to serious that built a foundation over time. Honest conversations, like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic.
Your honesty about that part of your life gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted to uphold in my own life. And I was so grateful that you and Mom had become these sober, stable people who were always there for me.
I wanted you to know from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now
that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs, whether it's music or anything else. I said it a lot, and I'm glad you took it to heart.
Talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
You were listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Researchers at the University of Utah have made an AI tool that could help predict chronic or progressive diseases. Assistant Professor of Psychiatry Nina DeLacy tells KSL News Radio's Josue Sanchez the Risk Path tool can see signs of certain diseases before symptoms show up.
What Risk Path is really intended to do is to provide researchers with a better or easier on-ramp to using modern AI modeling tools to build models of chronic or progressive disease in a better or more efficient way. And so chronic or progressive diseases are very common. I'm sure a lot of listeners out there have thought about them in their lives or maybe worried about them. So we're talking about things like heart disease, diabetes, mental illness, things that develop over long time periods, years, and in some cases a person's whole life. And these are diseases that that long time period over which they are progressing or going from a part of your life where maybe the disease is starting, but you don't feel it or have any symptoms, to where you have mild symptoms, maybe something like pre-diabetes, all the way to full-blown disease, where that's a long period. These are very interesting and important diseases to study because that long time period hopefully gives us many opportunities to prevent or reverse in some cases, or perhaps even stop the disease developing. And so we would really like to be able to understand that long path of how different risk factors in your life, maybe things like how much you exercise, what you eat, the environment you're in, your relationships with people, how much exercise you take, maybe your genetic predisposition, all these different kinds of things, how they come together and interact over time to influence how your risk is changing over your life of developing one of these diseases. RiskPath is really designed to help people get a better handling on modeling those processes in order to help advance prevention, ultimately, to help advance the way that your doctor can work with you or your healthcare provider can work with you to help stop that progression in your life and keep you as healthy as possible.
DeLacy says RiskPath could help predict someone's risk for diseases like diabetes, heart disease, or mental illness.
Well, RiskPath is right now a modeling tool. You know, it uses modeling these diseases using data that we collect over multiple time points in a person's life, something called longitudinal data. That's historically been quite hard to do. We've only been able to sort of look at different pieces of those progressive trajectories. We haven't been able to build models of the whole trajectory using many, many time points before. So RiskPath uses very modern AI techniques that have come and been developed in the last few years. And what it does that's kind of special and different is it makes them explainable in a way that's required for this purpose of risk stratification in biomedicine. In some applications of these advanced time series AI algorithms, you don't really care as much that the results or the model are explainable. So for example, other places that we might use these algorithms are forecasting the weather or trying to forecast what the stock market's going to do. And in those kind of applications, you might say, well, Nina, I really just care that it's really accurate. You know, is it going to tell me if it's going to rain tomorrow? I don't really care so much how it got to that place. But in medicine, of course, we care a lot for the reasons I said earlier, which is we care to know what those risk factors are and what they're doing over time. And so how accurate RiskPath can be depends a little bit on how good the data is and a little bit on what disease it is. And so the sort of benchmarks for accuracy can be different, for example, between mental health and cardiovascular disease. But RiskPath itself, which we have initially put out there, having applied it to mental health and to cardiovascular medicine and metabolic medicine, risk path can typically be accurate to about 88 to 95+% accurate.
How does it work? DeLacy says it will work with a patient's electronic record.
Risk path is uniquely designed to work with what we call longitudinal data, so data that is collected about an individual at repeated points in time. And so one of the places, of course, that is done a lot is in the electronic health records. So if you've been to see your doctor more than once, you've been to see them several times, maybe lab tests or information about you or your symptoms have been collected at multiple time points. And so the electronic health record is a place that has lots and lots of longitudinal data. And so one of the things that could be done with RiskPath is that you could use it to build risk stratification tools that are in the EHR. And so maybe even to some extent automated, such that your doctor doesn't have to keep asking you questions to fill out a new risk stratification, but the EHR, the model could be in the EHR and kind of do it on its own, kind of keep an eye on how you're doing, and alert your provider if it felt like you were starting to be at increased risk. So that's one of the things that you could do with it. In general, risk stratification tools are implemented for healthcare providers. So if they're wanting to stratify somebody's risk, they fill in information online and can calculate a risk score. Some risk stratification tools are available online for people like you and me to use. And so if, for example, you wanted to stratify your risk of heart disease or your risk of certain kinds of cancer, you can do that yourself. You can go online and find, for example, the American Heart Association risk calculators. So some are available directly to consumers. So there's a bunch of different ways that risk stratification can be done. Potentially with younger people, it could be done in schools. So it's sort of a pretty flexible kind of approach. RiskPath is designed to help people build the foundational models that sit inside risk stratification tools and to do that in hopefully a better and easier way. But as to how they get to healthcare providers and consumers, there's lots of different ways that can be done now, and probably new ways that we'll be able to do it in the future. I think it's exciting to think that right now we're maybe moving into a place where people are thinking a lot more about prevention. They're starting to think a lot more about chronic and progressive. Potentially there's going to be even newer ways out there that I can't tell you right now, I haven't thought of right now, that we'll be able to put these tools in the hands of more healthcare providers and more consumers.
DeLacy says patients would be notified about their data being used in research.
Typically, we don't use people's data to help with research without their knowledge. So typically someone would consent to be part of a research study if their information or data is going to be used to help move research forward. There are certain cases in which data can be used to kind of do research on a de-identified basis, certain special cases. But typically, if you're going to ask somebody for their data and use it to do some research, then typically we do ask somebody for their permission to do that.
She says in the future it could be implemented in electronic health records and automatically alert doctors if someone is at risk. Again, that is Assistant Professor of Psychiatry Nina DeLacy. She spoke with KSL News Radio's Josue Sanchez about the RiskPath tool and telling him that this thing will identify certain diseases before any symptoms even show up. And this research is being undertaken by the University of Utah, this AI research. It's 2:30, midday at KSL News Radio. Hello, I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. The new Pope sharing thoughts in his first public mass. The Utah Jazz just a couple of hours away from the NBA draft. And KSL traffic. Ricky?
An accident on northbound I-15 prior to the 6 South exit. It is out of traffic on the shoulder. Also, Alpine Loop Road on SR 92 closed due to a crash. Maria?
Thanks, Ricky. KSL's top local stories in just 1 minute, but first, the latest from ABC News.
American Israeli hostage released by Hamas today in Gaza. His family in Tel Aviv, including his mom, reuniting first by phone and then in person, celebrating his release. Alexander was held for more than 580 days after being kidnapped from his military post during the October 7th attacks. ABC's Ian Pannell says the U.S. broker deal and Idan's release through negotiations with Hamas due to stalled ceasefire talks with Israel.
What you have is a Trump administration essentially bypassing Israel for the second time. This is bad news for Netanyahu, who has been cut out of this deal, although the Israelis are going to have to secure it. It's good news for the Trump administration.
President Trump traveling to the Middle East today. He's not meeting with Israeli officials, instead holding talks with Arab leaders. Severe storms on the march again in the south. Miami in the crosshairs today of severe flooding. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. Dirty colored water is coming through the pipes of some homes in Ogden. Residents say it smells, too. Officials say the water is safe to drink, but to get rid of it, the city has been flushing out nearby hydrants.
These minerals do cause discoloration and can often cause an unfamiliar smell, but the water itself is safe. However, residents really should flush to a point where they are starting to see, clear water again.
Ogden Communications Director Mike McBride says this is pretty common and can happen when a shift in water flow stirs up the minerals in old pipes. Winds whipped up a number of house fires in Utah over the last 24 hours, including one in daybreak that set neighbors running to help. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson has more.
South Jordan Fire Battalion Chief John Stone says they believe the fire started on the back porch.
Fire spread to the inside of the home.
The cause of the fire is still under investigation, but one of the theories is that it was caused by an e-scooter. Stone says lithium-ion batteries can cause fires, especially if they are aftermarket or don't have a UL rating.
If there's signs of the battery failure, such as bulging or anything else, or if the batteries are just outside of their gate.
Despite the high winds yesterday, crews were able to keep the fire from spreading to other homes, and everyone was able to make it out safely. Britt Johnson, KSL News Radio. 5
people were taken to the hospital in Carbon County this morning after a semi-truck hauling oil crashed into a home. This happened along US 6 in Wellington right before 6:30. Utah Highway Patrol says they don't know why the truck veered off the road, traveling through an open field before hitting the home. 3 people in the house and 2 in the truck were taken to the hospital with serious to critical injuries. Other local stories KSL is following. Today, a woman will be sentenced for her role in the death of her 12-year-old stepson. Nicole Scott pleaded guilty to being part of the neglect that led to Gavin Peterson's death earlier this year. Last week, Gavin's father, Shane Peterson, was sentenced. Gavin's brother, Tyler Peterson, will be sentenced later this month. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow ending the day up by 1,160 points, sitting at 42,410. That is nearly 3%. S&P 500 up by 184 points, more than 3%. And the NASDAQ ending up by 779 points, more than 4%. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
We do have delays southbound I-15 between 33rd South and 53rd South, where it looks like UHP held back traffic once again to clear the road of some sort of debris. They're starting to let traffic go again, but we do have residual delays. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We have almost reached the high of the day, which should be 88 degrees today, expected to be 88 degrees. Temperatures dropping big time tomorrow, down into the 60s. A high of 65 tomorrow with a 40% chance of showers, 70% chance of showers on Wednesday. 86 degrees right now from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host
of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
This Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then, browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes a new inventory every day. Then, they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. You're invited to visit the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
With next-level tech and safety features, Hyundai cars and SUVs give you the confidence to boldly journey wherever life takes you. Advantages include our available class-exclusive digital key and available remote start parking assist. And because we want the road ahead to be as worry-free as possible, every Hyundai also comes complete with America's Best Warranty, a 10-year or 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. It's time you took a test drive of your favorite Hyundai today, only at your Utah Hyundai dealers.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Catholics in the United States have been rejoicing at the election of the first American Pope, Pope Leo XIV. But in Chicago, where the Pope is originally from, it's an even sweeter, more personal kind of celebration. ABC 7 Eyewitness News in Chicago took a look at the celebrations from one of the Catholic churches in the city.
Holy Name has been at the center of this historic moment for the Catholic Church and for Chicago.
Many tourists have been visiting the church and taking pictures of the sign outside that talks about this Chicago native Pope.
After the new Pope was announced, the church removed the black bunting, which signaled mourning the death of Pope Francis. It put up white and gold bunting in its place, planned celebration of a new Pope. But the church had no idea that the Pope would be from our city.
I was in absolute shock. Happily shocked. He was not on my short list. He was on maybe my top 10 list. Here's the ironic part. When he was named in Chicago, at that moment I looked outside here in Chicago, the sun came out.
Mass had just started at Holy Name Cathedral when the announcement of the Pope was made on Thursday.
Yeah, when that news broke Thursday about the election of the first American Pope, the mood throughout the city was similar. Immediately, memes went viral showing Pope Leo XIV holding a hot dog, dipping his Italian beef into gravy, and gripping a bottle of Malort, the city's unofficial liqueur. Outside Wrigley Field, the Chicago Cubs marked the moment by announcing its legendary sign. On its legendary sign, I should say. Hey, Chicago, he's a Cubs fan. Similarly, Benison's, a bakery just north of the city, announced a new sugar cookie with Prevost likeness that it promised was as divine as the moment. And the Pope gave some of his first public comments over the weekend in front of tens of thousands of people who crowded into Vatican City yesterday morning to hear his first Sunday address. ABC Chief International Correspondent James Longman reports from St. Peter's Square.
In that crowd, we met 3 Americans, Dominic and Taylor from New Mexico and Philip from Chicago.
Did you ever imagine you'd have a Chicagoan in the Vatican?
Never. I was very pleasantly surprised when they picked him.
The former Cardinal, Robert Francis Prevost, would not have been made Pope without his experiences abroad. He served as Bishop of Chiclayo, Peru, from 2015 to 2023.
And Longman taking a deeper look at some of the Pope's first activities, including meetings with journalists.
He spoke initially in Italian, but he did crack a joke in English. Take a listen.
Thank you for this wonderful reception. They say when they clap at the beginning, it doesn't matter much. If you're still awake at the end and you still want to applaud, thank you very much.
He did go on to talk about the importance of freedom of speech to the group of journalists, talking about journalists who've been arrested or killed all around the world. He spoke about AI and how important it was to be responsible when using it. But yes, we did get the chance to meet him. He came down to the front row. Terry Moran and I were right there. He said, ABC News, you guys tracked down my brothers. They've been on TV more than me, which we thought was a lot of fun. He also handed us something to go away with, which was a little rosary, which has been blessed by the Pope. So that is something my grandmother would be very, very proud of if she was still around. Look, he is very unassuming in real life. He's very softly spoken, but there is something about that white cassock that just gives a person an aura. He has star power, and we saw that star power just yesterday during the Sunday blessing. He spoke to 100,000 people who are all assembled here in St. Peter's Square. He spoke about the importance of a ceasefire in Ukraine and in Gaza and on the war in Ukraine. We do understand that he has now spoken to President Zelensky about peace in Ukraine. So we're getting an idea about the kind of Pope he wants to be.
Pope Leo XIV will be formally installed as pontiff during a mass at St. Peter's Square in the Vatican on Sunday, May 18th. Midday with Maria Shilaos continues in just 60 seconds.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New trade event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See you with the full details and disclaimer.
President Trump says Qatar has offered a luxury jet to replace Air Force One, and he wants to accept it.
Very disappointed that it's taking Boeing so long to build a new Air Force One. You know, we have an Air Force One that's 40 years old. I think Qatar, who we've helped them a lot over the years in terms of security and safety. I think they, and very, very nicely, and I have a lot of respect for the leadership and for the leader, Qatar. And I think they knew about it because they buy Boeings. They buy a lot of Boeings.
ABC reports it would be the most valuable gift given to the U.S. from a foreign government. We hear more from ABC News Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl with Start Here host Brad Milkey.
Sources familiar with this extraordinary arrangement tell us that the government of Qatar is prepared to donate a $400 million jumbo jet to the United States Air Force to be used as Air Force One for as long as Donald Trump is president, and then to be transferred, get this, to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation. By the way, there is no Trump library yet, so this would be something that would be available for the president to use after he leaves office. And sources tell us the Justice Department, the Attorney General, was asked by the White House to do a legal review. Would it be legal to accept this gift under these circumstances? And, you know, Pam Bondi, under her name, this justification was written up saying it would be perfectly legal for the president to accept this extraordinarily valuable gift. Let me tell you, there's a lot of doubt about whether or not, in fact, it would be legal.
What is the deal with the play? It's like I've heard Palace of the Skies. What is this thing?
Yeah, it's known as a palace in the sky. It is. It are only 84 seats on it, by the way. So you can imagine a jumbo jet 747, 2 levels. This is a 747-8. That's the newest model. It's even bigger than the 747 that is the current Air Force One. It's got, circular staircases. It's got beautiful suites. It's got a lot of gold. It's gorgeous if you like that kind of thing. And Donald Trump actually got a look at it. The government of Qatar brought it to West Palm Beach to the airport in February. He checked it out for an hour. we've tracked this down. The terms of this arrangement that has been proposed is it would be given to the Air Force to operate as Air Force One until January 1st of 2029, which would be roughly
right as he's
20
leaving.
days before he leaves office, assuming there's no third term. But, and at that point, it would be transferred to the Presidential Library Foundation.
Okay, so then the big question, is this legal? I get that the Qataris are saying we'll loan this to the Air Force and then to a light, but like, I don't know, are there legal concerns with one president being told, hey, you'll have a nicer jet from the Qataris?
Well, look, there are a number of problems. First of all, there's basic bribery. And in the legal analysis done by the Attorney General, she said this would not be bribery because the gift is not given in connection to any official act. But you can imagine, first of all, Qatar is a government that held where the headquarters for Hamas was located until very recently, where the Taliban had its headquarters during the entirety of the war in Afghanistan. Any foreign country would be an issue, but particularly this foreign country would be an issue. And then you have the emoluments clause in the Constitution, which says very basically that no person in the U.S. federal government can accept a gift from any foreign government prince or royal family or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So what Pam Bondi said in her analysis is, well, no individual would be accepting this. It would be the Air Force, and then it would be the Presidential Library. But I mean, come on, the Air Force for purposes of what? Flying the president. Mm-hmm. The Presidential Library, which is the purpose of what? It's to serve the then former president. So look, you've seen some statements, some very strong statements coming out from mostly the Democratic leaders in Congress demanding an ethics review of this, saying it's clearly illegal. Interestingly, even one of Donald Trump's most fervent supporters and controversial supporters, Laura Loomer, was out with a statement saying, I love you, President Trump, but you cannot accept a $400 million gift from the government of Qatar.
If you haven't seen the pictures of that plane, you should go look at the pictures. A few weeks ago, I told you about a seal that knew how to bump out to music. Well, now it looks like chimpanzees might be able to do the same thing. More on that in just a moment. But first, let's take a look at your drive. Traffic brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
We do have traffic where it was delayed on southbound I-15 through Murray, breaking up. Now spots of heavy and slow traffic between 33rd South and Sandy. And an accident, a small one, northbound I-15. It's about halfway between 1300 South and the 6 South exit, but out of traffic on the shoulder with no delay. Don't miss the Rocky Mountain Gun Show at Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy, May 17th and 18th. Where you can get 500 rounds of 9mm ammo for just $85. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
This heat's nice, but the real heat, it's coming. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and now is a great time to schedule a preseason AC tune-up. And I'm about to save you some money. Normally, we charge $129 to tune up your air conditioner. But if you call today, Monday, May 12th, and mention you heard this ad, we'll give you $100 off and tune up your air conditioner for only $29. Call Any Hour Services today and schedule. 801-443-7400. Manufacturers recommend annual maintenance to save on utility bills, identify breakdowns before they happen, and to help your air conditioner last for as many years as possible. 801-443-7400. If it's more convenient, go to anyhourservices.com and look for the red button that says Book Online. Schedule your $29 tune-up there. That's a $129 value for only $29 if you get a hold of us today. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Tay-Tay was a typical girl that loved pink, singing, and all kinds of animals. At 3 years old, she tumbled off a horse and received a traumatic brain injury. Her family prayed for a miracle, and when they realized their daughter would not survive, they made the decision to donate her organs. Because of her donation, 4 other people received her organs and tissue, allowing others to live. Go to donorconnect.life and read about what it takes to become a donor. Did you know many people think that they're too old and not in good enough health to be a donor? Anyone can be a donor. If you were told that it could save a life for someone close to you, or even a stranger, would you please donate? Finding out more on why you should become a donor is pretty easy. DonorConnect.life can walk you through the process and what it takes to simply sign up. Check yes to become a donor when you renew your driver's license. Give hope, heal life. DonorConnect.life.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel you attract people who tend to be compulsive or abusive?
Do you have money problems because of someone else's drinking?
Are you afraid or embarrassed to bring your friends home?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
More than half of all adults have a family history of alcoholism.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. Utah Jazz had a rough season on the court, but the Salt Lake area still ranks as one of the best places in the country to watch a basketball game. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
Wallet Hub ranks large cities each year for their basketball experience by looking at game attendance, ticket prices, and a bunch of other metrics. And Salt Lake City comes in 4th this year. The study also notes the rankings get a boost when there's interest in local college teams as well.
The only teams ranking higher than Salt Lake City for basketball fans in 2025 are LA, Boston, and San Francisco. Tonight's a big night for the Utah Jazz as they'll learn whether they'll be picking in this year's NBA draft. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more.
The Jazz are guaranteed to pick no later than 5th, but they will need some luck to get pick number 1 since they only have a 14% chance of getting it. Jazz owner Ryan Smith talked about their chances of that happening with Hans and Scotty on the KSL Sports Zone, saying he feels like they're due for some good fortune.
It would definitely be a moment in Utah's history, right? And I think we've had a lot of good momentum building in Utah.
The number 1 pick is likely going to be 18-year-old Duke superstar Cooper Flagg, who could play a huge role in a Jazz rebuild. The draft lottery starts at 5 o'clock. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News will be tracking the NBA lottery and bring you any Jazz draft news as it happens. Animals keeping beat. It's not as common as you think, but it might be more common than I originally realized. Earlier this month, I sat down with Jeff Kaplan to talk about Ronan, the beat-bopping seal. Now there's a primate relative of ours doing a similar thing. But before I get to that, Here's a reminder of our conversation on Ronan the seal.
Well, humans aren't the only ones who can rock to music. Maria Shilaos is here to explain.
Jeff, Ronan is a 15-year-old sea lion that's helped prove scientists are wrong. Humans are not the only ones that can bob to music. The bright-eyed sea lion has scientists rethinking the meaning of music.
So we trained Ronan to move her head in time to rhythmic sounds. And outside of humans, this ability had been seen previously only in parrots and some related birds. So Ronan is actually the first non-human mammal to be shown to be able to keep a beat.
Okay, Peter Cook is a behavioral neuroscientist who has spent 10 years, at least 10 years, studying Ronan's rhythmic abilities and has shared his research on YouTube.
When we first trained Ronan, we used a simple repeating sound, something like a metronome. But once she had learned, without further training, Ronan was able to find and keep the beat in complex stimuli, including music.
Okay, Ronan lives in Santa Cruz's Long Marine Laboratory, where Cook and others have honed her ability to recognize rhythms. Now, Cook and his colleagues just published a new study showing that Ronan still has the beat more than 10 years after she began to bob. You can watch the videos, but you'll see that she really shines while bobbing to disco. You should see her. Head up and down, right to the beat.
Well, no arms and legs, right?
No, just body.
This is one of the songs?
Oh, this is her favorite song.
Really?
Yeah. And what is particularly notable about Ronan is that she can learn to dance to a beat without learning to sing or talk musically, which is very unusual because we see parrots can do it, but they talk.
A sea lion who loves Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Absolutely. Okay, now to the new part of the story. A new study says that chimpanzees drum with regular rhythm when they beat on tree trunks. The study of rhythmic structures, which appears in the journal Current Biology, analyzed the drumming patterns of chimps from the rainforest in East and West Africa. Now, the chimps use drumming to communicate over long distances. The message may indicate what direction a particular chimp is traveling or just be a social check-in. Catherine Hobader was part of the team on the study, and she says the drumming has so much more meaning than just keeping a beat.
A lot of flexibility in their drumming, and it gives them lots of opportunity to encode all kinds of information on who's drumming, where in the forest they are, what their activity is. So it's a really rich way of communicating. The chimpanzees will they'll drum on almost anything. They're incredibly fast when they drum, actually much faster than most human drummers can drum at. Really high tempo, lots of energy, and each chimpanzee drummer has their own individual signature when they're drumming. We could show that not only do chimpanzees have rhythm in their drumming, but they have rhythms plural. They have different rhythms depending on where they come from. They do have a capacity for rhythm. They're using that in their social behavior and their social communication, just as we do. And those basic building blocks, rhythm is central to human social worlds. If we didn't inherit it from an older ancestor, is it really just something that makes humans human?
Okay, Hobader says humans probably learn to speak and not just drum as we develop the need to navigate more social circumstances. Jeff Kaplan is here getting set for a show. What do you think?
I'm minding my own business, putting the finishing touches on, and I hear this squealing.
How could you possibly mind your own business with that screeching going on in the background?
I had jerked up. It sounds like our team when we're getting ready for the show a little bit.
Especially when there's breaking news, right?
Yeah, precisely.
Hair on fire.
Yeah, like that. But that was a chimpanzee, right?
Yes.
I caught that in the middle. I got the seal part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you remember the seal. And, we did like the disco music that the seal liked.
I went and looked up that video and watched the thing bob and dance, and it really is impressive. The chimpanzee, just scary.
Well, I don't know. I'll have to see it. I'll have to go take a look at the video of the chimpanzee as well, and then we'll decide. Okay, you've got a lot of stuff coming up today. NBA draft lottery. That's a big one you're watching.
Yeah, the thing that bothers me about it is that instead of just doing the ping pong balls like they do for the Powerball, they get the machine from the same place. Mm-hmm. They're going to turn it into a half-hour TV show and drag it out. So we should hear the NBA selection for the Jazz by 5:30 at the latest tonight.
Yeah, we're also waiting for a sentencing for
in
Gavin
the Gavin Peterson
mom.
case. Yeah.
Yes.
That should be coming down. We have Heather Peterson, no relation, our reporter, who's going to be in the courtroom and let us know what happens.
Okay. Anything else big you want to tell us about?
Now you'll find out.
Yeah, keep listening. Thank you so much for joining us today for Midday with Maria Shilaos. I'll be back tomorrow, noon to 3. Have a great evening. Jeff will keep you company.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon, 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. It is windy. 30 miles an hour out of the southeast in Salt Lake City. We're at 86 degrees. KSL's top story, the stepmother will be sentenced today in the death of 12-year-old Gavin Peterson. Prosecutors say the evil stepmother of Cinderella would have been a better parent to Gavin. KSL News Radio's Jessica Lowell is live with the latest. Jessica?
Jeff, the sentencing hearing is happening right now at the Weber County District Courthouse. The prosecution laid out their argument explaining how much Nicole Scott hated her stepson. They cited text messages between Scott and her husband, Shane Peterson, that said Gavin was naughty. The medical report showed Gavin was beaten, kept locked in a room, and starved. He ultimately died of sepsis. The judges said Nicole Scott was the architect of Gavin's destruction. Scott was almost unable to speak in tears when she was in the court today. She told the court and Gavin she was sorry and she wished she could go back and change things. The judge is about to give the sentencing. We have a reporter on the scene and will continue to bring you the very latest. Reporting live, Jessica Lowell, KSL News Radio.
Last week, Gavin's father, Shane, got 5 years to life. KSL legal analyst Greg Skorda says this stepmother's sentence is likely going to be longer.
His most serious charge was also a first-degree felony, but it was child abuse homicide. It carried 5 to life. Hers is an outright murder, which is 15 to life. So the sentences will be similar, except that her guideline range, the time she's probably